Okay, right. So this part is about using different effects on our sounds, such as equalization, limiting, side chaining, and so on. But we won't get into side chaining in this part. I think I'll do that in a different section. But we are pretty much talking about, if I go here, so in the mixer, we have these slots right here on the side, and we have all these different effects that we can use. So this is what we will be focusing on in this lecture, and the most important ones. So let's get into it. First, I want to just add a random sound. Let's go with maybe I will use GMS again. Okay, so let's go for, I don't know, a lead. Let's have a listen. Yeah, we'll go for this one. Okay, so we can rename this to keys maybe. So I want to go to the piano roll, and I'm going to just make some chords. So let's make some here. Maybe here. Okay, let's go for a B, D, F. Yeah. Oops. Okay, so let's have a listen. Okay, just pretty random. But that's not the main focus, the progression. So what we want to do now is link this to one of the mixer channels right here, the inserts, as you can see. So we're going to open this right here and go to this little arrow that you can see, and on this drop down menu you'll see routes to free mixer track, or routes to free mixer track. And what this is, or you can press the shortcuts, as you can see here, Control L. So if we're on here, we press Control L, it will link it to the next one that is available or free. So if we selected a new sound, it would go to Insert 2 by using Control L. Okay, so now if we press play, and we will see it here. Okay, so we can hear all different types of frequencies in this, some high, some low, some medium, right? So the pitch, it's a high pitch or low pitch like this. And we can manipulate this or edit this by going to the side, these slots, and choosing the most common equalizing tool, which is in the filter section, and it's Fruity Parametric EQ2. And maybe you've seen this in if you've watched any videos, because I mean it's the most common equalizer in this platform, in this DAW. So what we can do now is play the sound again, and you'll see some lights come up here. Or not lights, as I'm not on that that mode. One moment, if I can. I forgot which one it is to put on the lighting. Not lighting, but to see. One moment. I forgot which option that is. As you may see some different, it may look a little different when the sound plays for you. And I'm trying to see. Okay, yeah, so it's the heat map, right? So as you can see here, these lights. So from this menu here, I just selected heat map enabled, or you can turn it off. So what this shows you, when the color is very bright, it means that this is a very strong frequency of this sound. And when it's not so bright, it means that this part, this frequency is playing. So in the treble right here, and in the hint panel at the top, you can see what the frequency is. So you can see that it's as I go left to right, you can see on the left it's a very low frequency, and it goes up all the way to around 20,000. It goes from 12 to 20, I believe, or I think it's 20 to 20,000. yeah, I think it's 20 to 20,000 that you can edit in the hertz. So as you see with the hints, we have sub on the left, bass, low mid, mid, high mid, PRS, and treble. So if we were to remove the low sounds, we would only hear the high sounds. So what we can do is use these. We can move them around. So to put this back to the original location, I'm going to use Alt and left click, and it will return to the original position. So if we have a listen, I'm going to move this as it plays, and you'll hear that the sound will, the low end will be removed, the lower frequencies. If you're not using a very good headset or a decent headset, maybe you won't even hear too much of a difference, but I recommend you do use one so you can hear the difference here. Yes, so as you can see, as we move this up and you see this line changes how it looks, at the bottom means that the sound is not playing. So if it's higher up, this sound will be louder, these frequencies will be louder, but bottom is they're going to be quieter. So let's have a listen if I make it louder. You can hear those low frequencies are much louder than the higher ones, and or louder than before. Yeah, so that's a very simple explanation of how the equalization works. We can use all of these to make different frequencies higher or lower, or remove them. And you can use your mouse scroll wheel to make this this curve steeper or shallower, I guess, or less steep, we could say. So I'm just using my mouse scroll wheel to do this, and this can, you know, give you more of a sharp sound or less sharp sound. As you can hear there, as it changes. And we can do this for the high end. Maybe you don't want the higher frequencies in your sound, you can move it. So like that. And something I like to do if I want a really sharp curve like this, but I don't want this peak at the top, and what we can do is right click on this, on the number 1 or any number you like, and go to type, and we have high pass and low pass, and these are, I think, to me anyway, the most two common ones that you will use. So low shelf means that it's going to be as you just saw it right here. It's not very sharp, and it can be useful in some sounds, of course, but I much prefer the low pass and high pass. And what these will do, the high pass will make it so that anything playing below this is just not going to be it's not going to play at all. Let's just say. So what I want to do here is, yeah, make it go back and one moment. Yeah, so here we have the low pass, and we can move this as we like. Okay, so we can select high pass right here, and once we've selected high pass on this one, we can go up to this option here, and you'll see in the hint panel, yeah, oh sorry about that, you'll see band 1 order 2, right, or band 2 order 2, so right now they're on order 2, and we can change this order by holding left click and dragging up and down. So right now I'm dragging just up and down, and it changes how sharp or how steep this line can be. And if I have it on this setting right here, so we see steep 8, there's a gentle 8 and a steep 8. And the steep 8 means that it's a very sharp line, and anything below this frequency will not play. So let's have a listen if I drag it up. So this one is a very good way to have a very sharp sound and cut off any frequencies that you don't like in your sound. So maybe you already have a bass and you don't want this sound to interfere with the bass. We can drag this up to where you can see the bass is right here, and we won't hear below this frequency. You can hear there's a little bit here, or you can see it, because the line is not directly down, it's steep, but not completely steep. So maybe you could drag it up a little more. Yeah, like this. And maybe you don't want the high frequencies, we could do the opposite. So type and low pass, and then we can drag this, make it a very steep one, and now you can see at the bottom we have something here, which is the you can see the peak. You see the band 1 high pass when I go over this, and band 7 low pass, so it explains what type. And what I like to do is change this down here to make it just to change how sharp it can be, or how yeah, steep or gentle, I guess we could say. So I also like to press Alt and left click, and this will reset it to the default. So it can make it very easy, convenient. And in FL Studio, many times to make something back to the default mode, you want to Alt and left click. So if you're not too sure, that could be a pretty good hint, I would say. So let's have a listen to this if we cut out some high frequencies. So then in the end we would have this sound, changed from, if you want to hear your original sound, you can choose this mute and solo. These green lights on the right hand side, these can make mute this effect. So if it's muted, we'll hear the original sound. And then we can put it on and you hear the new sound with this activated. Okay, so now I want to move on to another effect, one that is very common, and for this one, to really get the feel of it, I want to add a new sound. So let's add simply maybe the FL keys. Okay, and I'm going to stay on the grand piano, sure. So if we put the piano here also, and have a listen. Okay, and we're going to use the shortcut, or if you don't remember the shortcut, you can use the arrow and go to root to free mixer track, so Control L, and it will put it to number 2 here, and then we can start adding our effects to this sound that we like. So maybe again we want to remove these low frequencies, so we right click, type, I want to use the high pass, and I'm going to make this very steep and reset the bandwidth right here at the bottom with the Alt left click, and then we can start to drag it using this frequency thing here, or I can just use my mouse on the actual graph. But I like to use the frequency bar here and just left click and move it, because this is a bit more accurate, I would say, and feels better. But yeah, so let's have a listen if I remove some low frequencies. So maybe like that. And we can see the volumes, we can adjust them right here if we like. So I move the piano down the volume a little, minus 1.8 decibels, as you can see at the top in the hint panel. So it's a little quieter, so it's quite even with the keys. The volumes are quite the same. Okay, so now I want to add an effect called gross beats, as you can see here, which is in the miscellaneous category. This one is very commonly used in house music. So what this is, it will change your sound, the volume, it can automate the volume. And In house music, you will find this side chain, the one right here called side chain, this effect on the side, and you can see it creates this. And what this shows you is the volume from 0, and it goes up to the normal volume, and it goes straight back down like this, and then slowly back up and back down. So you'll hear the volume moving like this in your sound. So if I play it, you'll hear how it sounds. You see, it sounds quite, you can barely hear the piano because it only peaks for a very short moment and then it goes back down. Right, so what I want to do now, you can really just be creative with this when it comes to using these effects and things that sound great to you for whatever type of music you want. There is not really a rule, right, with music, as long as it sounds good, but keep in mind about keys and scales that they are pretty important to sound good. So I want to add a kick. So let's say we add one right here, and I would put on C5 this kick. So let's say one like this every. Okay. So now, because we have 4 kicks here in one bar, right, between bar 1 and bar 2, we have 4 kicks. So very similar if we go back to the right here, the gross beat. We open this up and we can see that this time sync and position sync is 4 beats, and it's the same as our kick. So every time this is going at the top is where the kick is playing. So what I would like to do here is make this louder by left clicking on this circle in the middle, and you can drag this to make it all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom, and you can hear how the sound would change. What you can also do is simply right click and it will put the position to the middle. So if I right click on all of these dots and put the position here, and we have a listen, we will hear when this kick plays, and this kick is playing, it's at the beginning right here of each one, so you will not hear the piano and the kick at the same time. You'll hear the piano come after the kick and slowly increase in volume until the next kick plays. So let's have a listen. And you can hear that difference. And if we move up from the bottom, we move this a bit higher maybe. We don't want it to start at 0. We can have it start at yeah, around here. You can just experiment. Let's see. So if I play it from here, right, and maybe we also want this effect to apply to the other keys, right, in track 1, because it doesn't have this gross beat effect. So something we can do is left click on gross beat here and save preset as. We don't want to save it, but what we will do is hold left click and drag. So you can drag this all the way to number 1. So hover over number 1 and release, and you can see this same effect has been duplicated onto number 1 from number 2, and it's right here. So if we play it now, the song or the pattern, we will hear both of these will have the gross beat effect on. So they're a bit more in sync and they sound unified and they're doing the same thing. And this kick, we can add it or route it to and remix the track so we can see the volume of this kick. So the kick is louder than the other 2 sounds, which is good. As I mentioned, we want the kick to usually be one of the loudest sounds, especially in dance music. So yeah, that's fine. And another point is, if we have a look here at this panning left and panning right, now this will make the sound play more left or more right in your channels, right? So it's not mono, it's a stereo sound, so we have the left and right. So let me mute these 2 sounds, just left click on these green dots to mute them, so I can only hear one sound. I want to hear the keys actually. And let's mess around with the panning. So if I go here and we have a look, and I will use this panning to go more left, more right, and you'll hear the difference. Makes my head feel weird, I think. Yeah. So you can hear that, and to reset it like everything else, you can, if let's say it's here, but you want it back to the middle, you just press hold Alt and left click, and we can reset that. So you can mess around with that too. We also have another modulator here, a circle that you can edit, let's say. So the top one is panning, the big one, and the smaller one is about stereo separation. So if you want this to be more of a mono and a middle sound, or more of a separated and wide sound, and you can also mess around with that. So you hear the difference now when I make this more separated or more mono. So you see right now it sounds like it's more in the middle of your head, or like middle of a room. We could imagine this like a room, that all your sounds, you want them to have their own space in the room. So you don't want everything just to be stuck in the center, right, or in center of your head. You want some sounds to be further out, some sounds in the middle, and usually it's a good idea to have your drums, like the this kick drum, to be more in the middle, the center of the core of the song, we could say. And some more airy or dynamic sounds can be a bit more separated, but we want everything to have its own unique space. So for example, I could make this one 25% separated and this one 44%, so they don't collide with each other so much. Or we could keep the keys just in the middle and not merged and not separated. And if we have a little listen to everything together. Okay, and also separating a sound makes the volume a little bit louder, and merging the sound makes it a bit quieter, as just as when it's separated, you know, it's like filling more space, we could say, in this virtual or imaginary room. Yeah. Okay. So next, what I want to add or talk about is a limit or limiter. So again, I will use the keys, I think. So we can mute the other sounds and we'll just use the keys. So we can go back to the mixer, and I want to add another very common and well-known, used a lot, is a fruity limiter. And fruity limiter, what this will do is, you see it's in dynamics. If we open limiter right here, it will show you your sound, pretty much the loudness of your sound when I play it. So you can see all of the waves as they play. So we can see that it peaks around the same point right here. You know, the volume is, or in the hint panel you can see it's, when you go over it around the top, it's minus 15 decibels, maybe minus 16 around this. So let's say that we didn't want it to be this loud at this point. We want it to be the same as like maybe minus 19, or we don't want it to be this loud. What we can do is move this limiter ceiling, this one, the green one, a ceiling, move it down. And if we bring it down, if you look in the hints panel, we can bring it down to minus, all the way to where we said maybe minus 19. So you can see now anything above this green line, oh, I didn't mean to move this scrolling speed. Yeah, anything above this green line now will not play, or it will be limited or compressed. So the sound will be quieter. It can distort the sound a little or make it sound weird if you do this too much to your sounds, as of course the peak sound won't be playing. But it's a good way to make your tracks more balanced and to keep the volumes not going crazy. They won't be out of control at times. So let's have a listen to this and you'll see what happens. So right here on this graph, I paused it by left clicking. You can pause when it's moving simply like this, by left clicking. Yeah, so if I just pause here, and what you can see now is these white lines at the top, and what these represent is the compression and where the sound and how much of the sound has been compressed. So if you think this is too much maybe and the sound is a little weird, you can increase the ceiling. We could go to minus 17.8 and let's see. Oh wait. Right, so and now as you can see the lines they are a lot less and it would probably sound more natural to how it originally sounded. But in our final song we definitely want to have some types of compression and limiting for sounds to stop to make everything sound more unified. The volumes are pretty similar and you can hear everything and it has its own space. So limiting and compression are important, and compressor, this one I would say is not so used anymore, specific compressor. People may use a multiband compressor or some others, but they have similar roles in that they make the sound more unified and what did I add? Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, they make the sound more unified and more just put together, and everything has its role and plays its role in the song. Okay, so the next effect I want to talk about would be reverb. Reverb is used so often in so many types of music. I want to only play the kick right now. So, okay, so we go into the kick right here, which has no effects right now. I want to go to, you see, delay reverb. So we have Fruity Reverb 2. This one I would recommend using, and as soon as you open this and you play the sound, you'll hear a difference. So you hear it has like an echo, a bit like an echo, or as if it's in a very hollow or empty room or place. And this is what reverb does. It makes your sound have a more wet or a airy sound to it. So it's very good to use for songs where, or sounds when you want it to be less hard on your ear or less strict. I don't know how I can explain this, but you can hear from the sound that it makes it more dynamic sound, I guess. So if first thing I want to mess around with is the size, and you can imagine this again like a room or a stadium. So if the size is very low and we listen, it has that sound, and then we bring it up and you hear the difference. Oh, maybe I can't play it at the same time. Let's just put it to the maximum and listen. So the size is very low, it sounds like a small room, and the very big sounds like it could be in a stadium. Right, and what else we can do is this wet on the right hand side, wet and dry. This means the wet is the effect sound and the dry is the original sound. So if you want the original sound to be quieter, you can move this down. So let's have a listen. You see, so if we have the dry very low, you can barely hear the original kick and you can only hear the wets. So this is a very and we have so many other type of things you can use here. Low cut will remove some lower frequencies. Or high cut does the opposite. Okay, and we also have a decay right here, which means how quick or slow this sound, the wet part of this sound will decay or will stop playing. So if we turn this up, it will play for a long time. Even after I stop playing it, you can still hear that wet. So you don't really want this to be too high for too many sounds unless you only play the sound once every so often and you're going for a specific sound. Okay. And we also have damp, which is quite similar in that it will make it sound, well, you can have a listen to it. This sound, the damp, it has quite an effect, but some other sounds it would definitely have more of an effect on. And we also have a delay feature here, which you see, you can synchronize it to your tempo, and this can delay when the wet sound will start. So example, we put it here to 4, as we see in the hint panel. So it plays 4 beats after the dry sound plays. Or if we put it to 2, you hear. So it's playing between every kick. You can hear the wet sound begins. But we won't put that on. So, and for well, I wouldn't really put a reverb on a kick generally. So, but just for the sake of this, I did. And the other main effect that I want to talk about in this section is the delay. So let's go to Fruity Delay Free. And it looks like there's so much going on here, right? But first, delay, what this means is that it will play your sound again and again. Let me go back here and, for the sake of this, remove these right here. So you'll hear what the delay is doing. So I played it and I stopped playing after just one kick, and you hear that it slowly fades out with many more kicks. Or if I keep playing this, so this is what the delay will do, play your sound again and again. And there are many different settings here that you can adjust. You can synchronize this to your tempo, which I would recommend most of the time. It's going to be beneficial. And keep pitch, so it's always in the same pitch, you're not out of key. And what you can do here is adjust the level, which is the feedback level, meaning the kicks that play part of the effects, they might be a lower volume or higher, which we can hear. And they will also finish much quicker, right? But if the level is very high, then many kicks will play. Here it takes a very long time for these kicks to stop playing when the level is very high. Or you can bring it down a little. Yeah, so maybe around here, I would say. And the wet will just make even the initials, the first kick that you hear, that is part of the effect, will be quieter if we turn this down. So you can hear that, how it affects the wet sound. And of course dry, it will do similar to what we heard with the reverb, that the dry sound will be quieter if we turn this down. It can make for some pretty interesting effects, I would say, and you can simply just be creative with this. Okay, so these are the main effects, main general effects that I wanted to talk about, and as you can see there are so many more here which have different roles and they do different things, and I've talked about them a few more of them in my other course, and also on YouTube for free. You can find this information from my channel and from other people's channels. If you just simply search for the effects and maybe how to use, or I can send a few, I'll put a few links also in this course to some great videos, I think, and some of mine. And yeah, so we will finish this one here, and I will see you in the next one.